Hi, everybody. I'd like to share some of my experiences with DMT. There was a period in my life in which I took it thoroughly for about 2 years, at least 2 times a week for 2 years, all very intense. I took it very seriously because it really changed my life and I really wanted to find out what it was, or that mystery. What the hell was that? And so I took it very seriously, and I'd like to share with you all my thoughts of what I think everything is, my confusion, because I'm still so confused about it, and my experience. And I'm going to try and do it, first of all, without telling you my opinion, just the facts, and then I might give you an impression of what I think it might just be, or maybe I'm just wrong and it's just my impression. Anyway, long story short, I'm going to try and be brief as well. And this happened so many years ago. I mean, probably 2012. Those 2 years started then or something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, never tried drugs in my life apart from alcohol and coffee and tea. And I was going through a period in which I was becoming spiritual, for lack of a better word. I hate that word, but if I say that word, you right away you kind of get the gist of what I'm talking about. I was investigating this whole geometry, vibrations, energy, the law of attraction, this sort of thing. We are all one, that sort of stuff. And one of my friends who was in a way similar, thinking in a similar way, told me about DMT. He said, there's a substance that if you take it and you go to another dimension and you talk to aliens and stuff. And I say, oh man, I really don't like drugs. I want to keep my neurons intact, and I'm really scared of trying that kind of stuff. And he said, no, don't. This is natural. Your brain produces it all the time. In fact, every time you go to sleep, your brain is releasing this DMT. And pretty much if you take it, you probably go to the place you go every night, but you don't remember. And it's almost like going to the dimension you go when you go to sleep and being awake and see what's happening there and stuff. So I say, okay, listen. I order 2 doses, one for you, one for me, and two pipes and everything, so we can do it properly. And we do it as a scientific experiment. Both of us do it at the same time in the same room. And if when we come back, we both describe the same thing, it's a place. And if each of us is just experiencing something else, it's just a drug, and it's just a brain on drugs. Okay, sounds cool. So at the time I have my leg broken, so I couldn't get out of the house. So long story short, I was living in the UK. Long story short, I managed to get online some stuff, and basically I have the kit for 2 people and the substance for 2 people. And my friend was just giving me excuses. Oh man, I'm too busy. Oh man, I cannot do it. So I was bored, and I had my leg up, and I have the stuff there looking at me. I was investigating DMT, watching all the videos, reading the books. I was really puzzled by it, and eventually, I mean, to this day, I don't know how many years it's been, my friend still hasn't tried it. So basically, I got bored enough. Sorry, I'm going on for a while. I go to the gist of it now. Basically, I was bored. I had the substance there. I decided to try it. It took me a while to find the proper way of doing it, because it's not very easy to get enough substance before you pass out, because you're going to pass out even if it's just a little bit you take. You're going to faint for a little bit. So it's crucial that you get enough inside your lungs before if you smoke it. Obviously I was smoking it, so it took me a while, but the very first time I actually managed to break through, I thought I died. I thought, oh, I done something wrong. I'm dead. And I'm so sorry I'm not going to see my family again, but this is amazing. I am everything there is. It was very, very, there's no, everybody who's tried it knows what I'm talking about. You cannot explain everything you get. You get like a wisdom, sensations. It's like you're dead, basically. So when I came back 20 minutes later or 15 minutes later, I couldn't believe it. It changed my life. It's like, I can't believe I'm back being this character, this human. I've been everything there is. So basically, from that point on, it just changed my life for the better. And I really recommend people trying it at least once, because I feel this is the only good thing that I would recommend about DMT, this change of perception. The fact that you had a life, and all of a sudden you've seen some other place, you perceive it like a real place. Also, you perceive some sort of wisdom that then when you come back, you forget. Eventually, if you carry on coming to that place, you keep getting more back and back. As I said, I did it 2 years in a row. So eventually it's like, oh, I'm in this room. Oh, now I'm in this place where they tell me the time doesn't exist. Oh, I'm in the place where they tell me that blah, 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 blah. Because I did it so many times, I managed to remember more and more. But it's quite hard to remember. I'll get to that point. Anyway, I was blown away. And I decided to really, really find out what this is. It's like, this is a mystery. I need to know what this is. So basically, I was doing DMT on my own for 2 years. And I was taking it very seriously. I was blindfolded all the time, putting earplugs on, so I didn't get any influence from the outside. I feel personally that a lot of people smoke DMT and they open their eyes and they watch the room. It's like, dude, you're missing out the experience. There's a message there inside of you. Close your eyes and they'll show you stuff. And I keep saying they and stuff. You perceive it that way. I went through all the phases. I went through the phase of, oh, this is just a drug. It's just like when you're dreaming. I got to the conclusion that there's no way that is not an intelligence talking to me. And it may be me, it may just, as many people think, it may just be you, a deeper you, a version of you, a hidden version of you talking to yourself. Whatever, I perceive it as an intelligence outside of me. In this life, it's outside of me. I don't know if in another life we are all one, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to tell you what I perceived. So basically, I'm going to tell you now the experiences I was getting there, or what I remember I was experiencing there. So it was almost, most of you who tried it, you will know there's no right way to describe it. It's very difficult to describe it. But basically, you go to this amazing place that is all dark and fluorescent, full of geometry. I'm very amazed at the people from the Mayan and Aztec cultures, because they managed to most faithfully reproduce the kind of visuals and beings you meet in there. And not only they remember, I tried to paint it. I probably, if I put this in YouTube, I'm going to try and upload a painting I did trying to represent my experience. And it pales. There's no way I can get what I was seeing. And instead of that, these guys not only remember these Aztecs and Mayans, but they managed to fucking carve it in, I'm sorry, I'm sweating. They managed to carve it in stone. So it's like, fucking hell, man. And also in Indian cultures, they have a lot. And Indian cultures, I love Indian cultures. They have something else from DMT, in my opinion. It's the pattern, the rhythm. They use it in their songs. They even have a type of music in which is somebody just like making noises with their mouth, like da 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 da. And I find that kind of music that they do is very similar to the patterns I was hearing. Remember, I was 2 years nonstop, 2 days a week doing DMT, and I found out that every time they don't talk to you, or they don't make noises as such, but any noise that you hear, they cannot chop it up in a pattern. So it's very similar to that I was describing from the Indian music. Anyway, I am amazed that some cultures manage to capture something that is so difficult to capture and explain. So I'm puzzled by it. I'm pretty sure they were under the influence of some sort of DMT. Anyway, long story short, it was amazing. I was filled with love. I felt immense. I felt wise. Then you come back and you forget most of it, but you still feel like your life is different. You are no longer just trapped in one life. You are living in two worlds at the same time if you choose to go there. And I feel it enriches you, or at least it did to me, or I felt better for it. So it was about 6 months of that beautiful thing. Everything is love, amazing stuff. And eventually, well, lots of geometry, fluorescent. I mean, I'm hoping that the people who listen to this have tried DMT, because if you haven't, it's so hard to describe it. But I'm hoping that the people who have can find similarities in what I'm talking about. And in fact, I want you to tell me if you're, I'm going to get to that point. But basically, I'm puzzled by some of the ingredients in that experience that I still have no explanation for. So I would love it if you guys will share it with me if you have the same sort of experience, and tell me what your opinion is. Anyway, after 6 months of amazing, beautiful, loving, otherworldly experiences, I have an experience that was never repeated in the same way, but ever repeating in another way. And I'll make it clear. I'll try and be. I'm sorry. English is not my first language, so I'm trying my best. And it's been a while since I was living in the UK, so I'm forgetting my English. Anyway, after 6 months or so, I saw my first snake. I saw a giant red snake out of this amazing, beautiful, fluorescent, geometric, pattern-filled place. There was a giant red snake that wasn't geometric and came up to my face. It was probably about 5 meters long, massive compared to me. I mean, his head was like way bigger than me, and he was just in front of me, sticking his tongue out at me. And I didn't feel scared of anything, because one of the things that I feel the message of DMT is I was feeling love and all sorts of things. So it didn't scare me to have that snake, but that was the first time I saw a snake. And then that snake disappeared. And after that, I ended up, for the one and only time in my whole time experiencing DMT, in a room, in a place that was three-dimensional. I mean, DMT is sort of three-dimensional. There's a certain volume, there's a certain space, but it's almost like a membrane of 2D geometrical, ever-changing shapes, morphing into things and beings coming out of that to talk to you and getting in your face and stuff. But this place was as three-dimensional as our world. I was in a room, in a place, in a very large place. And in that place, I saw a male or a female, I don't know, it was hard to tell, a humanoid snake. It was a snake, it wasn't a lizard. It was definitely, in fact, I feel like it was meant to be the same snake. But it was almost black, dark brown, human shape. And it came all the way from the bottom of the room, almost dancing really fast towards me, and it got into my face and did the same thing, stuck his tongue out, or her tongue out at me, and then disappeared. And then I don't remember exactly if that was the last part of the trip, but when I came to, is when I realized, fucking hell, I just had a massive snake, and I've seen a reptilian. I mean, I was aware of the David Icke theory of the reptilians and stuff. I wasn't that keen on it, but I couldn't help but thinking, maybe these are the same guys. Maybe they also control this dimension. But I wasn't scared or anything. It was just shocking because of how different and how unexpected it was, and how In fact, that was the only time I was having a three-dimensional experience. So anyway, from that point on, and that's what really puzzles me till today, whenever I go there, there's always snakes, reptiles, things that move like snakes. At some point, there's always going to be a reptile, snake related part of that experience. And I get onto a bit more deep as I go along. Let me recapitulate. All my experience in DMT, I never was talking to. I never heard anything. Everything was, all the noises that I was hearing being transformed by the DMT, the drug or whatever, into patterns and things and noises. And then instead of talking to me, those ever moving, ever changing geometrical things, or those snake or reptilians or things that pop up to my face, they all pop to your face and they try to show you stuff. They are all talking to you, but without saying noises, at least to me. And I think it's fairly common. I think most people don't hear things. Then again, I've heard some people say, oh, yeah, I definitely heard something. So I don't know, my experience, I never heard anything. The only thing that is very clear to me is that I hear in my own head, or I get the thought in my own head of a message that is clearly coming from that being in front of me, gesticulating and doing things. It's like it's using my own inner voice to give you a message. And they even touch you. They were obsessed for a while with my heart, and they were really tapping it, like tapping you in the chest. You feel it. You feel like a finger tapping you. Well, there's so many things I can go about. For instance, your chakras. Yes, is the physical sensation with DMT. If you try it, your whole body vibrates. It's full of energy. You feel a really hot sensation in your heart. I think it's basically your chakras have been overloaded with energy or with whatever vibration this drug is putting you under. So you will really feel your forehead, your chest. It depends on the experience, and as I go along later, you'll see. But in the beginning, it was lots of attention given to my heart. This beings touching my heart. It's almost like giving me the message like, this is really important. You need to work in this. This is your heart. And there's a time in which a lot of people say this is quite common, and it definitely happened to me at least 3 times, in which you feel like the typical experience when they operate you. Like when people say, oh, they've been kidnapped by aliens and they are on an operating table and surrounded by people and they're operating them. I have that a few times, with only that instead of aliens, they were like geometrical beings, and they kind of work in your body. I think my theory, my feeling is almost like they're just tuning your chakras for later use, so it's easier for you to experience. That's just my theory. I cannot say if it's true or not. This is just the impression you get from what's happening to you. For all I know, this is just a drug doing things in my head. That's why most people who haven't tried it will say and try and debate you that's the experience you're having. Even I myself was like that for a while, until it got to a point in which there's no way. I've been so convinced by the experiences that is an intelligence, and that intelligence is outside of me in this dimension. I don't know if in another dimension it's me or not. Anyway, it's my perception. Oh man, I'm getting out of the path. I'm going to try and be concise again. Basically, I just want to reiterate, your chakras are activated, or what you perceive to be your chakras. I even saw myself in the mirror once or twice, recently smoked, and I saw all the circles where my chakras should be as some sort of moving Aztec circles with patterns and things. So there's something to it. If you don't believe in chakras, I don't care. I've seen them. I feel them. In fact, since DMT, whenever I've tried other drugs, people gave me marijuana and hashish, and they have an effect of my body that is very similar, without the visuals and stuff. but my chakras get activated in a similar way, very energized. You feel them almost like they pop out of your body, and they get like about, I don't know, 40 centimeters outside of you. You feel like your chest is 40 centimeters out, all hot, and your belly and all your chakras. Anyway, I touch upon the chakras. What else did I want to touch about the symptoms? Basically, you get an intelligence talking using your own voice in your head, or your own way of thinking, putting a message that you know is not you, is the person or the thing that you perceive as something in front of you, giving you a lesson that apparently you seem to understand, but once you come back, you can't remember anything. It's almost like it's a very common thing that you get the impression like you given the biggest knowledge of them all. It's like, now I understand, now I know. And then you come back, and then it's just like, what was that? I don't remember anything. And it's quite frustrating. In fact, it reminded me of when I was young and I was going to church school, in Spain. It's almost like by default in my time, you were raised a Catholic. And so anyway, there was something that I remember from those teachings that say, oh, humans are not meant to know. Once you die, you understand. And it's like, that's exactly the feeling you get. It's like you have been given this knowledge, this understanding. You suddenly understand with a logic that you cannot explain. And then you come back to this world, and it's almost like, oh, you're no longer qualified to know this. You're back into three-dimensional awareness or something like that. I don't know. That's the impression I get. Anyways, from that point on, I started seeing reptilians, snakes, all that sort of thing. And that is the point that to this day, it puzzles me. Why the hell I'm seeing snakes? I have no interest in snakes. I like cats. I've never seen a cat or a feline. So why this obsession with the reptiles, snakes, lizards? It's almost like this intelligence perceived by me, that I'm not saying there is an intelligence, I cannot prove it, but I perceive it that way. It's almost like it's obsessed with showing me that it's some sort of snake, or is related to snakes or reptilians or something. Okay, so that's, I mean, basically, it was 2 years. So sorry if I'm a bit rambling. I try to be tidy, but I have a lot to talk about and to share. That's the reason I'm doing this audio, because I want to share something that I haven't heard that many times. And so I'm puzzled by it, and I want to share it, and hopefully some of you might be able to tell me if you also have it, this experience. Basically, it's almost like they start teaching you things. And I got to a point in which I was always very grateful, very loving, 100% giving attention. There was a part, they were obsessed for a while, showing me people with their tongue out. Like Kali, or the guy in the middle of the Mayan calendar wheel, somebody with their tongue really sticking out, and they were obsessed with it. And also they show me hands doing the horn, mudra, I think they call them mudras. The horn symbol. The rock and roll, heavy metal. Whoa, rock and roll. I never understood it, but the tongue thing, it got to a point in which they were just going on and going on about it. And this entity, this reptile or whatever it was, one of the things that approached me once, he was so frustrated by me not understanding it, that it reached out in the same manner in which they touch your heart. It touched my head, like my forehead, like, look at me. And suddenly this face was sticking their tongue out slowly, like, do this. And so I did it. And from that point on, the trip intensified massively. And they were it's almost like they were so happy. You felt it, like, finally, he's sticking his tongue out. So from that point on, pretty much every time I did DMT, at some point, without me having anything to do with it, my tongue will pop out automatically. It's like my body's being allowed to be controlled by whoever is talking to me. And my tongue will pop out at times to intensify the trip. That's something I never understood. It's on my painting. You'll see me with my tongue out. Basically, there was a time in which they were sharing things with me, and I was playing along. I was very happy with everything they were telling me, up to a point in which they tried to justify to me that good and evil are needed. The yin and yang. We need love and we need hate. We need good and evil, and everything is wonderful. But you need both. And I wasn't that. I didn't agree, and I wasn't taking it in. And I think that point was the point in which they started making my, well, I say they, I perceive them as they, probably myself, who knows. I'm going to stop explaining. You get the gist. I'm going to try and say what I felt like it. I'm not saying it is, because I cannot prove it. And people will say I'm crazy who haven't tried it, or some scientific people might say, oh, it's just a drug touching up on this part of the brain and this type of the brain, and you get these archetypal figures or blah, blah, blah. Whatever. It's my experience. I'm saying what I perceive, what I sense. Like, I'm not saying I cannot prove it, but it's what I felt. So basically, this intelligence telling me this message wasn't happy that I wasn't taking it in. The reason I wasn't taking it in is because I am aware of some horrible, horrible things that happened. And I'm not going to explain what they are, but I cannot think of things more horrible than that and cruel. And I wasn't taking in the message of like, okay, so these horrible things you are aware of and you are traumatized about, the fact that they are going on, are useful and are needed for love to exist. I wasn't taking that lesson. So from that point on, I had a hard time with DMT. Every time I tried it, they were showing me horrible things in an abstract way and a realistic way. They even try and abuse me. It's hard to describe. I was made into a child. I was all sorts of things done to me, and my head was twisted, which is part of the in the painting. If you see the painting, it's very mystical. Oh, I got 3 heads. That's it's not something mystical. It's the fact that my head was turned almost like the Exorcist, and I was completely paralyzed. I couldn't do anything about it. I was so scared. I had my eyes open. I was hearing my flatmate in the other room. I was completely like trapped, paralyzed. And it's like, this guy's not letting me go. It's not letting go. It's twisting my head and I have no control. I was so scared. That was the last time I tried it for a long while. And basically, I think it's all because I didn't go through the message. It's because I rebelled in a way. So one thing I want to reiterate, perceived knowledge I gained from this being is the fact that everyone I've seen in DMT, all those geometrical beings, all those separate beings, they are all one. It's like, there's only one, there's only me. Only that one's, sometimes I choose to be many, sometimes I choose to be female, sometimes I choose to be male. Because that's the main thing. You will most definitely get 2 types of energy, 2 types of beings, sometimes different beings, but it's very generic. I heard many people talk about it, and it's very real. You feel like there's a god and a goddess. The goddess is very powerful, and she will like take you with her. In fact, it's almost like she takes you and makes. It's almost like she forces you to dance with her. She's very sensual, very Indian-like, you know, this type of movements, and it's very much like an Indian goddess. It's your perception, or my perception. There's a feminine energy about it, and she's very sensual, and she's powerful, but she's not trying to punish you. She's almost like trying to show you very powerful stuff, and to me, for real, she was almost like making me go inside her body and forcing me to dance with her. That was really pleasant, if I'm honest. And then you get the male entity. Bear in mind, this entity told me I am everything. So female, male, everyone is me. This male entity, to me, is the worst. And I'm, to this day, very, very scared by them. is the reason why I don't smoke DMT anymore. This male energy, this male form, is obsessed with showing me that is God, and he's not just God, but that God, that guy that wants you to worship him. Like you have to be in awe of me. I am the best thing around, and he forces you. In fact, he controls my body. He twisted my head. He make my tongue come out. Once you're under the influence of DMT, it's like your body is a puppet to whoever chooses to talk to you. If you do it long enough, at least that's my experience. In the beginning, it was the most beautiful thing ever. Then it became, whenever I was in touch with this guy, it's like, oh, I have you now. Well, you're going to learn this and that. Oh, what do you think? You think you're something? Oh, I can do with you whatever I want. Look, I'm so powerful. That's the as I said, that's the reason I don't smoke anymore. And this male energy once told me, not only that he's obsessed with trying to make you believe he's God, like he's everything there is, but also there is a snake, and it's like the Ouroboros. It's like the eternal snake, the eternal serpent, the wisdom serpent of every culture. And last time I tried it, it's a long story. I tried very little hits to empty a pipe because I was going to give the pipe to somebody else. I didn't want it to be having any residue, so I decided, well, I miss it in a way. It was years since I did it, so I thought I take little talks. I'm not going to break through. He took me for like a second, and he showed me like he was everything. He was the it reminded me of that Excalibur film, in which Merlin is this 1980 something Excalibur film, and Merlin the wizard is telling Morgana, the other wizard lady, and that the world is a snake. The world is the dragon. Everything is the dragon. You need to be in tune with the dragon because you are the heart of the dragon, and this and that. And it's like, this doesn't make sense. What planet Earth is a dragon? What is he talking about? It's exactly what this guy was telling me, and it made so much sense whilst I was there. Then when I came to, it's like, oh, he got me again, motherfucker. And so I kind of call him the eternal snake now. I'm not saying it is a real thing. I definitely don't think it's God. I don't think there is a God as such. I think there is an energy. There is what I call the whole. Some people call it Abraxas. In fact, I got one of my last song I made is called Abraxas in that concept. It's almost like there's a God, there's a mind, there's an energy that creates everything. But is it conscious? Is it really having a decision? Is it really, does it care about anything? The concept of Abraxas is almost like, if there is a God, it doesn't give a damn about anything. Everything is fine. Like they were saying to me, like, evil is good, good is good. Everything goes, oh, yes. So basically, I don't believe this entity or perceived intelligence is God. And if it is, what a shame, because if you need to be praised, what a shitty God you are. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I cannot say if it's true or not. I'm sorry if I'm rambling. And I hope you get some enjoyment about this audio. Basically, I went through all the phases of DMT, true joy, love, amazing connection with everything. I became vegetarian right away. After my first breakthrough, I was trying to be vegetarian for years. I stopped and I tried and I stopped. Instantly, I became vegetarian because I connected with everything. I knew that I was eating other beings that are suffering as much as I am. Plants suffer as well, but that's something else I'm trying to work on. I don't know what else am I going to eat, but so far I eat plants. And so I gained a lot from that experience, but also I gained fear, and it's a shame because I was really, really enjoying myself in the beginning. Now, I will 100% recommend this. Anybody, in my opinion, will benefit for a couple of hits of DMT, a couple of breakthroughs per person. If they can stand it, it will make their lives better. And I'll tell you why. This is the only good thing I found out DMT has for me, and I would recommend it for. The effect it has on me. Imagine this is an example I tried many times. Imagine you live all your life in a little village, in the countryside somewhere, and you love it. It's a nice place, and your family is there. You live with you have cows, you have your rabbits, your plants, your chickens, and your cousins are there, and all the neighbors are there, and everybody know each other, and it's very nice and peaceful. But it's also very intense in the fact that everybody knows what everybody else is doing. You feel a bit trapped, it's almost like, I wish I could have some intimacy and do something else. But it's not about life. So anyway, imagine if somebody from that village, that's your life, you're there, and all of a sudden you've been kidnapped and dropped in the middle of Times Square in New York. And you're seeing all the bright lights, people of different races, noises of all kinds, the buses, the taxis, and people just everywhere. And just like, wow, I can't believe this is, I thought my village was everything, and now I'm seeing this. And then 20 minutes later, they take you back to your village. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm back here. I was in the other place. The other place is real and it's full of lights. And it's like, so what happens? It doesn't, I mean, it doesn't change you 100%, but it changes your perspective. It's almost like you no longer feel like there's only your village and that's it, that's everything there is. There's other things. You've seen it, you've felt like it was a real place. You've been in Times Square, you think it's a real place, and you've seen how different it is. So the effect that has on you is in my opinion very positive, because it gives you it's almost like, well, I continue in my village, I'm going to stay in my village till I die maybe, but I no longer feel like this is the only thing. So all the negative aspects of my life in my village, everybody aware of what I'm doing and all that kind of nonsense, it doesn't bother me anymore. I'm just going to do what I want to do. I'm going to enjoy the good side of my village and just be myself and enjoy this trip. That's the positive effect of DMT. And it's so quick, because it's like 15 minutes can do that change to a person. And then he will forget, because it happens. But then if you give that person another talk 2-3 weeks later, it's going to remember again. It's like, it's going to have an impact, and they're going to change for the better, I think, most people. That's why I recommend DMT. Now, in the same example I used, think about Times Square. You went from living in that village to a place full of lights, full of people, full of beautiful, very powerful, very energetic, attractive things. But really, really think about Times Square. It's full of stressed out people, and nasty people, and it's all very materialistic, all business oriented, advertising, horrible compared to the village. So I feel like DMT to me it's been the same. It's like, yes, I've been in another dimension, or I perceive it like in another dimension. I've talked to an outside intelligence, but that intelligence is not very nice, at least to me, for whichever reason. Yeah, many people are going to say, no, it's a part of yourself. You have to face your demons. That's your inner male side that is going to dominate you, blah, 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 whatever. I'm just saying what I experienced. And I'm a common sense guy. I am not religious in any way. I'm not full of fantasy. All this has been triggered by me having this substance and seeing these things and experiencing these things as a rational being. So it feels very much like it's an outside intelligence talking to you. Almost like, imagine this. I don't even think DMT is a place, okay? There's lots of people who say, oh, it's just another dimension. If you are like a radio transmitter receiver, and you flip your dial, and DMT allow you to flip your channel to a side, and then you've been decoding a different dimension, even though your body's in the same place, and you've been in another place, like a different station, like a different radio station. You go in one radio station, then you flip the dial, and then you go to another radio station. It might just be so, or something like that, who knows. But I feel it probably is more like, you go to a chat room, in the internet, you go to a chat room, and it's a virtual place. See, it's a virtual place in which people go and gather, and they represent themselves with the avatars. You choose whatever it is you want to be perceived as. I like cats, so I put a cat. That's my avatar. This person loves snakes. He loves to represent himself as a snake. He appears like a snake. But the place is it's almost like he uses this intelligence, managed to use this energetic mind place and see what you have in your own mind, to use it as a tool. Your way of visualizing and dreaming is being used as a chat room to pass on a message with a lot of fluorescent stuff. I feel it's probably more something like that. More than a place or a dimension, it's more like an entity has been allowed, with the change of frequency in your head or whatever, to perceive you and see what you have inside and use it as a tool to send you a message. And something like that. That's my theory. Who knows? Maybe I'm crazy. So anyway, what else to tell you? I think I've covered everything. Nowadays, I'm really scared about it. I don't try it. I never tried it myself. The only reason I try it, or the only times I have a little talk, is when I'm explaining others how to smoke it. Because a lot of people come to me in my life once they find out I've done DMT seriously and try to learn from it and stuff. And I feel like I can show them how to smoke it properly and get the most of it. So I've been a sitter for a few people. And that's the only time, after those 2 years in which I stopped after they twisted my head and I was really scared. That's the only time I smoke a little bit. And every time I do, this fucking male snake comes after me, so I feel very scared of that place. I hope my experience is not scaring you. I know there's loads of you who have amazingly beautiful experiences with it, and in fact, that was me. 6 months of that beautiful, even more than 6 months. Let's say a year and a half of beautiful, loving, amazing wisdom experiences. But then once I decided not to go through with the teachings, I saw the other side. And this guy is obsessed with showing me his God. And I feel like, what the fuck is this shit? This is not nice. So anyway, last point I'm going to make. I tried, as I said, I don't know how to smoke. I don't smoke cigarettes and stuff, but people have given me, I managed to smoke some marijuana and some hashish. I told you it activates my chakras, really, really physical sensation. And I even see visuals if I smoke a bit too much. My only thing I tried recently, only once, is been magic mushrooms. I don't remember which type of mushroom it was, but basically it's like 4 hours of having a very small dose of DMT. That was my experience. Exactly the same reaction in my body, energetically, my chakras and everything. The visuals are 100% the same. In my room, with my eyes closed, the only thing, the intensity is almost like they're so dark, it's almost hard to tell what's happening. I saw reptilians in there, and all the Aztec patterns and everything. Because it was 4 hours, I took, and I was closing my eyes. That's another thing that most people don't do when they take mushrooms. I couldn't open my eyes, honestly. Also because I took them early in the morning. I was tired, so I think my lack of sleep also contributed to me not being able to open my eyes. But I also wanted to close my eyes to see the experience, just like DMT. So basically, there was a time in which I woke up, or I stand up, I went to the bathroom, I look at my face in the mirror, and I saw the same patterns that I see when I smoke DMT. You know, these chakras and these things rotating in my head, this Aztec flesh. It's almost like my flesh has highlights of patterns moving around and stuff. 100% exactly the same effect as a low dose of DMT, but only it lasts 4 hours or so rather than 15 minutes. It lacks the intensity. Then again, I was really relaxed and thinking everything was faded out, and this motherfucker came, the eternal serpent, and he was about to take me. I got the beginning of the trip, you know, when you think, oh fuck, he's here, oh motherfucker, he's got me now. He got me for a second, and then I really fighted it, and then eventually I managed to break out. So my conclusion is, I don't know if the pattern that I heard many times, people who take psychedelics, that once you try DMT, it's almost like any other thing that you take, it will always take you there. It's most definitely it happened with the few things I tried apart from DMT. Does that mean that if you don't try DMT, they will take you to the same place? I don't know. But to me, it has. Also, I have residue, I don't know how to call it, from the very beginning of having DMT. Also, I was drinking a lot of lemon water or citric acid. I was putting citric acid on my water. I wanted to clean my pineal gland. Let's put it that way. Lots of people say, "Oh, that's just bollocks. Blah, blah, blah. DMT doesn't come from the pineal gland." I was buying on that theory. I read the Spirit Molecule book and blah blah blah. So basically, I was drinking lemon, lots of lemon, to decalcify my pineal gland, and at the same time I was smoking DMT. So it's almost like you're going to the gym, so your pineal gland is working out. So I started having visuals. I have them right now in my room. I'm seeing things, and I haven't tried DMT for years. It's a residue I have. People, there's a medical term for it, some sort of technical thing people have with psychedelics. I see patterns that move. I see fluorescent things. If I relax, I see like an texture target. That's it. Also painted on my painting. If you see in the top of my painting, there's like a faint fluorescent eye, almost like a drawing. My attention will become that. It's almost like a video game when you're shooting up, when you have the cross in the middle to have your aim. It's like that. My aim is that stupid fluorescent eye thing that keeps moving with my attention. It's really strange, but it's like a side effect, and I think it's just like, well, you train your pineal gland, you've been working out, you clean it up, now it's working. Now you get a little bit of the frequency of that other dimension or whatever it is. All I know is that I know nothing. But I know there's something to this place and to that intelligence. And I want to know more. But at the same time, I'm afraid of the intensity that this entity perceived by me has. And this obsession with showing that it's so powerful and so much in control over me. It's like, if you're so powerful, what do you need that attention from something so small like me? What are you trying to prove? So anyway, yeah, lots of people, I've talked to shamans. Never tried ayahuasca. People recommended me to try ayahuasca. I really wanted to try ayahuasca in the beginning. Now I'm terrified. Imagine 4 or 5 hours with that asshole torturing me. So I don't really want to try ayahuasca. But yeah, many people, no, man, you need to confront your fears. You know, this is the message. The snake is very wise. He's telling you what you need to hear. You need to confront it, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to confront that asshole. That's my opinion. And I'm sorry I'm swearing so much. I'm just being honest. And so I hope, it's almost an hour on this audio. Oh, yes. I'm hoping, as my English is getting worse, I hope this is useful, especially for those of you who tried it a few times. And I'm interested in knowing if you find similarities, especially with the message that I got, that is just one intelligence that divides in the female or the male. I know it's very common, the female and male. I know lots of people see snakes. That's what puzzles me. It's like, yeah, whatever, maybe at some point in my subconscious I had a snake, or I've seen things, you know, I've seen the Ouroboros, and it's all recorded in my brain, and now it's been triggered. But whatever, why so much effort and repetition in the fact that from that point on that I saw the snake, every time there's snakes or reptilians or reptiles of some sort, or things that move like snakes, it's almost like, I know, and this Joker character that then becomes a snake. It's like, why are you so obsessed with snakes? Not me, the person who's talking to me. So I don't know. what are your thoughts about it? And because I mean, man, I'm so frustrated. I moved back to Spain. I come from Spain. It's been a few years since I'm in Spain, and my English is really getting worse. Basically, don't be frustrated. I'm really bad with YouTube. I'm gonna put this in YouTube. Don't feel frustrated if I don't reply to comments or read comments. I am really lazy when it comes to YouTube. I have another video in Spanish explaining this thing. Well, it was done a couple of years ago or something. So I didn't expect. I have more information now because I tried mushrooms and other things. But lots of people reply to that video and ask for my opinion and tell me things. Sometimes I read it. I'm just lazy like that, but eventually I will read it. So if you have similar experiences and stuff, let me know, and hopefully one day we'll work out what this thing is when we die. most likely. Anyway, thank you for listening, and sorry if I've been a pain in the ass, and hopefully some of you got something useful about my ramblings. Yes, 2 years. The thing is, things I want to recommend: close your eyes. If you're new to smoking DMT, close your eyes. Cover your ears if you can too, so you see the message rather than the message being influenced by everything else. Don't use a shaman or something like that chanting next to you or telling you stuff. Just see what's inside of you in silence. And with your eyes closed. Get a blindfold, those blindfolds they sell for when you're going on a plane or something. That's what I was using. Just see the message, see the beautiful fluorescent world that's in front of you, inside of you when you close your eyes. Don't look at your room and see transparent things approaching you and patterns in your wall and stuff. Every time I see YouTube videos of people doing that, I feel like, man, you're missing out. You're wasting the stuff. Okay, I'm gonna stop now. Thanks so much, and hopefully you enjoy this. And this channel, some of you who are curious, you might think, oh, YouTube, it must have lots of videos talking about psychedelics. No, I have these two, this Spanish one and this one. I have videos about my music and other things. One of my songs, though, I did a music video. Well, quite a lot of my music is being changed and influenced by DMT. But one of my music videos is actually, I use visuals that make me represent what I remember from DMT. So it's almost like a video of what I think DMT, what I can remember, and I can try. So if you're curious, check out, there's a track called Trance. Check out the video for the track, and it might remind you of some of the stuff you see in DMT. It definitely does to me. I did it with that purpose when I put it together. I used all the images I could find from movies and animations and stuff that were similar to stuff that reminded me of DMT. Anyway, I'll let you go now. Oh, yes, thanks for listening. Bye.